Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Open Mid Leaguecast episode 7. We're going to be talking about week 6 of the LCS Academy. But first, we're going to talk about the patch. So, patch 10.5. Not much here.
Dog shit patch, honestly.
Yeah, it's a
The
bunch
best
of
thing about this
small,
patch is the skins, bro.
small changes.
Yeah, the skins are pretty sick, though.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you that one. You saw that Black Frost Alistair?
Yeah, man. Another skin I'm not going to buy.
What? You're not gonna give Riot your money?
No.
Why not?
Unless it's a Thresh or... Actually, I didn't even buy the newest Thresh skin.
Wait, really? What was the new one? Oh, Pulsefire.
Yeah.
Wait,
I
that
still
one
use
costs
High
a lot
Noon.
of money, actually.
Yeah. I still use High Noon like every game.
The High Noon one is clean, though.
Yeah, High Noon's pretty clean.
Like, it's actually really nice. Talking about Alistair, though. He got a buff. Did you play it?
Nah, I didn't play this new patch yet, but Alistar still feels like shit.
So why do you play him in solo queue?
I played him once in solo queue yesterday because it was into Leona, and I was like, all right, Alistar in theory is like a good matchup. So like when Leona goes in, I just headbutt or pulverize and headbutt her into the tower, right? But
No, yeah, it makes perfect sense.
the problem is that when he doesn't have ult, or like, yeah, pretty much when he doesn't have ult, he's like super squishy, and then like the item you want to build on like most tank supports is what's it called, gargoyles, right? But like gargoyles
it's
doesn't
not effective on him.
Yeah, it's not really that good on him. So then it's like, all right, what the fuck do I build? So then you start building like these like other items like Zeke's or like Redemption or like Knight's Vow, and it's like,
I mean, those don't seem that bad, right?
It's not that bad, but you know, you would much rather have like gargoyles, but you don't want to gargoyles on top of all, and then it kind of feels like overusing sort of thing. So
true.
And like the things that they buffed was like his base stat plus 25 HP.
It's like one auto.
Yeah, pretty much. And then his passive, which is the heal, which might be big. I'm not sure because like I'm probably one of the few Alistar players that would run Revitalize, and by the end of the game when I would play Alistar, if I was like ahead, the Revitalize like the rune would actually be like really high because my passive would just keep going off and would actually like do a little bit more. So I'm not sure.
Revitalize instead of what?
Instead of like overgrowth or unflinching.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do that because I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna get CC'd, I'm probably gonna die anyways, and then like overgrowth's like okay sort of thing.
I think most people go overgrowth, don't they?
Yeah, nowadays you'll see most tank supports go overgrowth because they just realize, oh, fucking unflinching's bad, and then revitalize is like very situational.
You know who's in shambles on this patch? Helicopter, Moby Boots nerf.
I mean, all of the Talon players and the Kiana players are also in shambles.
I'm glad they're in shambles. Honestly,
it's 100 more gold, and then they also buffed swiftness boots, or quote unquote buffed. They just add 5 movement speed to that item. So it's definitely gonna be very interesting. I'm not sure if people are gonna go Moby boots as much anymore because instead of 900 now it's 1,000, and then like for an extra like 200 you won't have as much, or like for like the same like gold before like 900 you could get swiftness boots, which is like base 60 movement speed sort of thing.
What is mobility boots now, like
like
100 or something?
Like when it's like out of combat and stuff like
that?
Let me see, let me just click on the item. Oh wait,
because I don't know at the top of my head. All I know is you move fast and they get flayed by Thresh.
True. But yeah, boots of mobility. Let me see. You get 115 flat.
Jesus,
out of combat.
That's actually so
like,
much.
Yeah, it is a lot. So depending on, I guess, the champion you're playing or like how the game's going. Like for example, for me, like if I'm going to, have a game where I'm roaming heavily, I'm probably gonna go boots of mobility still. But hitting that 1,000 gold threshold is going to be a lot harder now or not a lot harder, it's just 100 more gold. It's not even like that.
Yeah, but when you're a
crazy.
Support, that's like 2 waves.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent amount
wave, right?
for support. So you might be sitting on just like boots and like control wards and pots for a while because like you can't just 900 gold it. You kind of have to wait for 1,000 now, which kind of sucks.
I mean, I kind of like it. Because, one, it stops the Talon like Kiana players from like perma roaming,
Mm-hmm.
but then it also kind of nerfs like supports a bit, which I don't know. I don't know. I don't think you like to hear this, but support's still a little too strong at the moment, buddy.
Oh no, I don't like it when they nerf items that I'm using because fucking
Oh,
mid laners take them.
this is true. Actually, that's why most support items get fucking nerfed, right?
Oh yeah, bro,
Because
fucking mid laners and solo laners be using that shit, and I'm like, what are you doing? Stop, fucking stop
what
it.
what meta was it where it was literally just like you literally just took support item and you just I forget. It was probably like I think it was every champion. You would just take support item and then they had to nerf the fuck
Yeah,
out of it.
it's like when Relic Shield will like give you like a shield or whatever,
Oh
like
yeah.
80s would fucking buy it. I'm like, all right, cool,
Yeah,
nice.
season 7. Good times, good times.
This shit was dumb, but
Shit was dumb.
speaking of
Uh
support items, the attribute procs for spell thieves and sickle. Now you actually have to be near allies or even if they're dead in order for them to proc, which sucked before. And then when the new season started, they're like, all right, we'll keep it the way it is right now, where it's like you don't need an ally near you. But since fucking people take solo lanes, it's actually just like, all right, we have to do it back again, like nerf it the same way they did before. And
oh
I'm like,
yeah.
all right, cool,
Cuz it's
whatever.
Soraka and Sona top, dude. It's Soraka,
Mhm.
Sona top, and then um what do you call it? Senna. Just
Yeah,
taking Spectre Sickle.
fucking
Literally,
AD
just
center.
actually like support items getting fucking abused as always. I
Yep.
mean, the thing is, like, they have to make support items like better, like really gold efficient, or like they're just you feel so useless, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of sucks for supports, but also it's kind of unhealthy for the game. Like, I get that supports need to be more impactful because they don't scale well. But sometimes it feels pretty oppressive when like you're going against someone who just has like so much more value, and or at least early on, right? Like when supports hit 6, what are mid laners 8? Like there's not that much of a big difference, right?
Mhm.
So at that point, I feel like supports are way stronger until like level 9. Like once like champs get like carries get to like 9, 10, 11, that's when supports start becoming like pretty irrelevant unless you're playing like Leona or Thresh or Nautilus or like something that you're just trying to like go in and engage on and like find picks, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think support is starting to kind of get into a good spot. But right now, like in bot lane at least, because of the ADs that are getting played, bot supports are just really, really strong.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, strong champions, they quote
Ooh.
unquote nerfed Ornn and Set.
Nah, it's not nerf, bro.
Yeah,
That
it's
that
not.
uh that Ornn nerf is like nothing, cause
Yeah.
he was definitely overkilling people by like a lot. When you watch him just like one shot someone, definitely overkilling someone. And I mean the level change thing is not that big of a deal. I think you know how they made it so you have to be level 14 to give an ally an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it really matters because most people weren't building a second item or an item anyway. Like unless you're like going Bork or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it really changes much because I know on Azir, if I played with Ornn, I'd actually rush Deathcap second. Because then if I waited to like get it third, he'd just be sitting on his passive for like a while. So I think this is fine. Like I honestly think it's not even that big of a nerf for the upgrade, and the damage proc is like honestly not that big of a deal.
Yeah. I think he's still gonna do the same things that he was doing before,
I mean, he's
more or
just the
less.
best tank, right? Like
Yeah.
good engaged that you don't have to dive in head first for. It's just too strong, dude.
Yeah. And then on top of that, just like the way his kit works with his passive and everything like that.
Really gross. Really gross.
Yeah.
Who
And
was it
then,
this week that got one shot? It was God, Kumo. Kumo got one shot by
oh
Ornn.
yeah, yeah, yeah. From
By Brook.
yeah,
No, that was last week
BG.
though. But yeah, Kumo got one shot by. He was playing Sen. He got one shot by Broken Blades Ornn. It
Yeah,
was
because he
pretty
was
sad,
like, "What the
honestly.
fuck?" I was at like 25%, and then he autoed me once, and then I died.
Yeah, it was. Kumon's getting like having a rough split, but we'll talk more about that later. The other, well, Kumo was playing Set, so talking about Set, what do you think of the nerfs? Is it enough to maybe push him out of pro?
Uh, I don't think so. I just think that the way the kit works and like the way he is as like a juggernaut is like obviously updated, and like he's like a very recent champion, so like he's not gonna be like a useless juggernaut. But like I said, just the way his kit works, his ulti, his W, the way it works with his passive and everything like that. And like the nerfs that they did aren't that big of a deal. Like decreasing the slow duration by 0.5, and
That
then
wasn't the biggest deal.
yeah, but his base stats, like that's not even like that huge, I think, in my opinion.
I mean, base stat nerfs have been known to be pretty strong sometimes, though. Especially for your early game, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I think the big one is the regen growth. That's a pretty solid nerf. That's a lot of it. That's like a third taken off, so it's literally 33% weaker, which I kind of think is a lot for a base stat at least. Like imagine you lose like 33% of your AD, right? Like that's pretty big. Honestly, I think the weird thing about Set is that he's a juggernaut, but he has his own move speed buff. You know what I'm saying? Like
So he has like a sort of like gap closer sort of thing.
yeah, like a pseudo gap closer, right? Because I mean, move speed is like the one of the things like you really, really can't counter because it's literally just like walking at you. But like the thing is with like Darius, people take Ghost, right? Because you can't get on people otherwise. Like he doesn't have a gap closer, and he doesn't speed himself up or anything. So I think that's the thing that makes Set pretty annoying. And if you've played against Set, like, and you just see him in lane and he like starts running at you, you're like you have to respect it. You actually have to back off. Meanwhile, if like someone was playing Darius and they start walking at you, you like laugh at them and just poke them as you walk away. Yeah, you poke them as you walk away. With Set, if you try and poke, you'll get fucking caught by the E or like the R or something, right?
Yeah.
That's like the pretty annoying thing about Set. But honestly, he just has so much survivability in team fights that like these nerfs really don't mean anything. Because legit, you just run in, press R, and then you press W, and you get the fatty like 1k shield or something, right?
Yeah, depending on when he pops the W, but you got the right idea.
Yeah, so that's like I don't think it's gonna do much. The other nerfs on this patch were like kind of aimed more towards solo queue than anything.
Yeah, bro, we got a nerf Rammus. That guy's fucking OP.
This guy has not been seen anywhere ever. He literally only solo queue. Amumu the same thing, only solo queue. Bard in high elo solo queue is like pretty gross. And then Blitzcrank, small nerf. Like it's not gonna do anything to Blitzcrank. Like the Blitzcrank nerf doesn't do shit. It's like 3 armor.
Yeah.
Whatever. The buffs also are a little bit on the light side. We already talked about Alistair's buff, which probably won't push him very. I mean, it's like a little nice like touch up, but he probably needs more. And then the rest of the buffs, I think the only one that like you could maybe look at that might be significant is like Kai'Sa's. So Kai'Sa's scaling on AP is quite a bit better.
Yeah.
And her upgrades are like a lot better actually. So I mean, enough to. I mean, we were already seeing some Kai'Sa, right?
Yeah, some like players have picked up Kai'Sa in the recent LCS games, and I think LEC. I'm not sure, but yeah, some of them are like going back to Kai'Sa because like either they get banned out or they think it's like a good matchup into whatever the game is.
In Korea, I saw Kai'Sa a little bit. Just,
yeah, it's literally because like that champion is just good in like team fighting and stuff like that. Like she has a stealth, she has a self shield. She does a pretty good amount of damage if she can get in range. So
yeah, I mean, I like playing Kai'Sa.
The only like real downside is that she's like short range. So
I feel like sometimes it doesn't even matter, right?
Yeah, because she does have like a gap closer in her ulti, and like the W is a pretty long range too. So
Hmm.
And then once you
Um,
upgrade the E, the stealth helps a lot.
a lot, yeah. Actually, I think when Kaisa gets her E upgrade is when she's literally just turns into like a gross champion.
Yeah, the
Cause
1v9 machine.
yeah, the 1v9 machine. Cause at that point it's like fuck, I can't one like it's pretty hard to one shot her unless you CC her.
Hmm.
Um, so that's pretty annoying. They did also buff Nico. Uh, we played against a Nico support one trick. What was his name? Ice Spear.
I believe so. I can't forget. Or I can't remember his name. I forget.
Yeah, yeah. So there's this high elo support Nico one trick, and these buffs to Nico. I was hearing people talk about it, and it's like this is a better buff to support Nico than anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the thing is that these buffs to her attack speed might make some people want to play AD Nico top again, but that doesn't seem very good in the current meta with the champions that are really strong, like
Hmm.
Ornn. Like, are you ever gonna actually out push an Ornn out of lane, right? As Nico, I doubt it. Like, even if the other champions can't do it, I doubt Nico can.
Yeah.
What do you think? Good buffs?
Yeah, it's like a nice like little like placebo buff sort of thing. Uh, I would not be surprised if we start seeing like Nico support and like excuse me, solo queue and stuff like that.
Don't die.
Uh, I just had a burp, but I stopped myself. Anyways, but yeah, I think these are nice buffs. The attack speed growth, the E and R ratios increasing are also very nice, but I don't think this is gonna like push her into the meta necessarily. Maybe she might be played mid as like a very like niche pick in like very situational situations. But this is definitely a buff to Nico's support, I feel.
Yeah. Anything else in the patch you want to talk about before we move on?
I mean
Oh
the
yeah,
top lane plates or whatever, top lane
the plating changes.
significance. Yeah,
Almost forgot about that. Whoa. Actually, I'm kind of glad the plates are giving me 160 gold again.
yeah. I think that's good. And then on top of that, melee champions do more damage to towers, and range champions do 17% reduced damage. So this will place a higher priority on like demolish as like a rune, I believe. So that's gonna
Oh
be
yeah,
very very
better.
good because when I play like things like Braum or like Nautilus, I'm like I think Font of Life is better in general because if I'm not able to walk up to tower, which most of the time I can't, it's not gonna be worth if I take demolish and I can't even use it because Font of Life will always proc as the game keeps going. But with demolish, you can take that risk and be rewarded for it significantly now that it's 160 gold, and you actually do more damage as a melee champion. So I think that this is a very good change, and I think this will uh, definitely affect competitive in many different aspects because of, like people are probably going to take demolish more, like I said. So,
I think a big change is the fact that the outer turret armor in Amar is like really nerfed.
mm-hmm.
It's down 35. Sorry, not 35. It's down 25 at like rank 1. So it's really really easy to take the first couple plates. And even later, instead of it being like 200 armor at 4 plates lost, so like that last like bit of health on the turret that was like really hard to take sometimes. It's like it's more like it was at the one before. So it's still pretty doable, honestly. I feel like for lane bullies, this is actually like pretty big. Um, and for champions of Rome, it's like kind of like an indirect nerf
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want to give up, especially for top lane. I think for top lane, like you could lose the majority of your tower off of one roam or like one bad base or something like this, right? And for mid
Yeah.
lane too, if you play like a even if you play like a ranged mid laner, I think it still might be better, especially with the plates giving more gold, right? Like lane bullies coming back would make me happy actually.
Yeah, it's like one bad TP play top, and then the other top laner just chooses to not TP or whatever. Like the lane could honestly be over.
Especially if the top laner that TP'd like didn't get
Mm-hmm.
kills, right?
Yep.
Then the lane's super over. Because I've had those games where I'll be playing top lane and I see the play bot, I go down there, and we pick up like kills, but I don't get them, and the enemy top laner just pushes. By the time I get back, I'm like one plate left, and I'm like, he definitely got 2 waves XP, all the fucking plate gold, and I'm just sitting here with like my 2 assists, right? feels pretty feels pretty fucking bad, honestly. But yeah, I mean, I guess roaming really, really, really sucks on this patch. Again nerfing champions like Kiana and Talon. Good. I put that good in my book.
Yeah.
I think the item changes that they made, like the board change, doesn't make any sense to me. For melees, because like almost no one built it anyway. I don't think anybody built it really.
Except
Like
for like
maybe
Jax.
sometimes, yeah, maybe sometimes Jax, but there's even better items.
Yeah.
And I guess the Titanic buff is the one that sorry. The Titanic buff is a little bit more annoying though. Um
Yeah.
because it's like 0.5% more. And already I think we played a game where we played against a Vibe with Titanic and like she almost like
She just
deleted
one-shotting
our
everyone.
entire team. Yeah, she's like deleting our entire team. And that makes me feel like that 0.5% might be a little gross. Again, not many people are building it though, so
Yeah.
only like split push champions in solo queue, like Irelia and Jax. I understand that patch notes come out for solo queue and competitive, but this feels like it'll have like kind of like almost no effect in competitive.
Uh, Very slight effect because I think last patch had more of an effect. Cause
Yeah.
like we're seeing like champions like Callista and Tarek show up, and then we're also seeing tanks be more prevalent, and then the other thing with Senna and like Tom Kench or another like tank support sort of thing.
Hmm.
So like the thing with Callista, so she is obviously super duper strong in lane. She's really annoying to deal with. And then on top of that, since every single like tank support just builds gargoyles, Callista does really well into that. She just autos them, and then once the gargoyles runs out, she just presses E, and then they die. So
Oof.
like that's like one of the main reasons why I think a lot of people are picking up Callista now is because of that. And then when you pair it up with like Tarek just like works as like a super good like late game support and like protects Callista, and Callista could protect him. So there's just a really really good combo going on there. And then with the tanks, like we've seen Zac Top and like Poppy Top in the LEC. Like I think that's just teams being like, hey, like Bombi Cinder got buffed. Let's see if these champions do like super duper well now, which mixed results, I will say.
I'm not convinced on this act top. I think you have to. I think only certain players can whip it out. Honestly.
Yeah, I think it has to be like a super good matchup for Zac, or else you're gonna end up like Kumo into Someday, where he's playing set and he's just shitting on your life.
Oof. God, that game
Uh,
was not pretty to watch, dude.
yeah,
It
because that
was
game
really
was
depressing.
literally top diff, and like the game is over. But Poppy and like Elite Lisi and stuff like that is just some interesting things right there. Then the whole Senna Tom Kench thing. It's literally because they changed the way Senna worked. So teams were like, all right, so we're just gonna have the support farm and have Senna still do her thing, where she just harasses and be super annoying in lane. Which I've played it in solo queue actually, where I've had my AD buy the support item as Senna, and I was playing Tom Kench, and I was like, this shit is not fair at all. Their
You
jungler,
actually tried it with like a random AD.
yeah, because he wanted to play it, and like, so the first game I played Leona, and like obviously it ended up well. But the second game, he was like, all right, run it back because we just happened to, match up again.
Oh, okay.
I played Tom Kench, and I was like, all right, they have a Thresh Vayne, and Elise came bot like 4 times, and I was like, we didn't die once. Like,
Oof.
they actually were like wasting time, and like taking so much HP because like I would just tank everything and then just like walk back and just live. So that shit was definitely not fun to watch or even play. It was funny to play because I was like, this shit is so dumb. But definitely just like if I was at Thresh, I'd be like, this shit is so fucking tilting. So
Oh, you can't do anything. It seems like.
yeah, it's actually just like super oppressive. But like I've seen it lose a couple of times, probably just because like solo queue. But I
Yeah.
think in competitive, that's why people ban Senna so much is because they're like, all right, we're not gonna play against that shit like at all because that shit is super annoying. But
Yeah. Do you watch the JLXP at all
uh,
or listen to it?
no, I don't listen to Joshua Jat Leesman's podcast, unfortunately.
So he had Riot August on the podcast this week. He, if you don't know, he's the designer behind Senna. He
Mm-hmm.
designed her. And there was a lot of like cool insights that I was hearing about Senna and like how she scales, and it made me think that support Senna like really is the wave, and like it's just gonna be the best thing until they decide to nerf it. Simply because Senna's souls give her essentially they give her stats which give are equivalent to gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why would you ever put more gold on someone that is already making their own gold? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and like I guess the idea is that pro teams figured out is that you don't need to give the gold to someone else. She will still be effective because the stats provided by her souls are too good, or they're good enough where you don't need items to supplement them. Right? You only need like one or two, and most supports get one or two items most of the time, right?
Yeah.
And it was pretty gross to watch this past weekend, in LCS at least, because at one point, like Bang had like 100 something stacks, and he had more range than the towers, so he could hit the towers from out of range,
Mm-hmm.
which honestly really gross. Like Senna's Senna's just really dumb sometimes. I think these new champions just have like gimmicks that make them that like force them to be good, or otherwise they wouldn't be good, right? And it's really hard for people to the like game designers to bounce around it. It's pretty annoying, honestly. I think like
Yeah.
just having a champion that doesn't need gold but will still do more damage than every other support,
Mm-hmm.
kind of not balanced.
It's literally because of how Riot just is like, all right, we have to make every single like rework and like new champion like super duper fun and like really really like insane, or else no one's gonna play them, right? So
Mm.
or like just like really really unique sort of thing. So every single champion that comes out or every single rework is just like not balanced like at all, because like it's just adding like new layers and new levels to the game, which is good, but like it's to a point where it's like this isn't like good for the game sort of thing.
I mean, in their eyes, it's good because they're like pushing the boundaries and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but from a balance standpoint, you already have champions that came out years ago that were, overtuned because their numbers were too good, but they had good kits. And they still get played now, like Cassiopeia or Zir, stuff like this. That, I mean, Cassiopeia is an old champion, but they reworked her to be something different. So they're not like permanently like super broken like the champions nowadays, the
Mm-hmm.
at least the new releases, but they're good enough where there's a big power creep in how good most champions are, right?
Yeah.
This there like every time I play solo queue, I feel like there's so many champions that hard carry a game, and I'm like I can't ban every one of these champions.
Yeah.
It actually gets frustrating when I
Mm-hmm.
can't deal with like it's like I have to choose between what I want to have to deal with in a
Yeah.
game, and it
Cause like
actually it gets so annoying.
cause like I'll sometimes ban Caston if I know there's like a Caston and one trick running around. But if not, I'll just leave it open and then see what happens. But if he like snowballs or like the game ends up going to like 30 to 40 minutes, the game's over. Because like Cassinan at that point is like super like not fair to really like deal
No, it's
with in
super
a way.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
but
like
that's his like whole design scale, right?
yeah, which it is what it is. But one game I was playing like jungle, and I was like, all right, my win condition is to get Cassinan ahead. So then I got our Cass ahead, and I was like, all right, we shouldn't lose, which we didn't. So
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of good champion. I mean, I think it's good that there's lots of good champions. I don't think it's good that there's a lot of kind of overpowered champions.
yeah, it's
Um,
like, do you make everything overpowered, or do you like, was that like philosophy sort of thing?
oh, it's like, do you bring everything in line with like the weakest, or do you bring everything up to the strongest?
Yeah.
So it's like if it's kind of like with I'm trying to think. When Azir came out,
Hmm.
so Azir and Victor were literally like just the two best champions, and then they proceeded to like keep buffing other champions to try and like contest it because it was at the point where Azir was just the number one pick across the board, right? Everyone would pick it. You first pick it, you blind it, whatever. And they kept buffing champions like Ori and Corki and stuff like this to like bring it up, and eventually got to the point where it's like, all right, well, they then decided to nerf Azir, and then every other champion is like super gross. You're seeing people get one shot left and right by like Corki with 2 items and like Oriana with 2 items, and they're just getting popped. And then obviously like you have to nerf it back down, right? And then
Yeah.
you get to the point where right now where a lot of mid champions are actually weak, like off of like Corki, Azir, Oriana. Those champions are actually weak right now. Like and LeBlanc, they're actually weak, but because there's nothing better. Like so you just pick those. But
Yeah.
mid lane still has big impact. That's the thing.
Hmm.
Fuck Zoe, by the way.
Oh yeah, that champion is definitely not balanced, and I don't think that champion will ever be balanced just because of how that champions kit works, which kind of plays into what we were talking about earlier, where new champions and new reworks are just too insane to like really
Yeah.
balance around.
Yo, until Zoe stops picking up spells from people using them, she's never gonna be balanced.
True.
Because it's just ridiculous in a team fight. You see her flash 5 times. In
Or
what world
like
do you think that's like fair? I
yeah,
don't see it.
or like a
Ugh.
early game like skirmish where like everyone legit blows everything, but Zoe just picks all that shit up and just uses it
Yeah,
on you.
yeah. Imagine like she just picks up a heal. It's like, oh look, two heals. That's not. Oh, she picked up Ignite now, and there's no cooldown on the spell, so
Yeah.
it's just kind of gross, honestly. Fuck Zoe.
I remember
Yeah.
there was in one of my solo queue games, Zoe was fighting in the jungle, but because there was a smite on the ground, she lived because she picked up the smite and used it on Gromp, and I was like, that shit's dumb. Moving on.
You'll never fucking see that ever, but except for fucking Zoe, dumbass
Yeah,
champion.
this shit is
Gross.
so dumb. But
Yeah. Well, whatever. Our weekly Zoe hate comes out. Let's talk about Academy actually, and a Zoe player who was really gross this weekend. Fucking Yasui, man.
of course, of
This
course.
guy on Zoe's like on another fucking planet, man. This guy really shit on like 100 Thieves Academy. It was
Yeah.
right after Tactical played for TL. So
Hmm.
Tactical's already like, yo, look, I just
Yo,
won an
guys, I'm
LCS
fucking
game.
smurfing, bro.
I'm Smurfy, guys. And he shows up, he gets onto the stage, he goes 0-1-6 on MF, and Yusui's like out here like 7-0-6. I'm like, ooh, carry. Who
Yep.
who really carried here?
Yusui that game, but
Yeah. Yusui Zoe's like super fuck. I watched him like pick up like 4 flashes in the last fight of the game and just murder people left and right. It was really annoying to watch, honestly.
yeah, I think that game in particular, it was literally just Contrast running it down onto Olaf, but Olaf's really strong early game, and I guess he was just like testing his limits on stage, and I was like, this is really troll because Olaf's super ahead now.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is that the carries on this team aren't that bad. Like I'm talking about 100 Thieves Academy. The carries on
Hmm.
the team aren't that bad. Fake God, Soligo, and Prismal, like they all have their problems and they all have their like pros and cons, right? I
Yeah.
think where things kind of start to fall apart is like jungle mid synergy and then jungle support synergy. And I'm not sure if it's. I'm not exactly sure what it is because Contracts doesn't look like he's been playing well mechanically or macro wise. Because you think back to his first week on 100 Thieves Academy, where like there's the clip of him playing Lee Sin and he literally just runs it down into tower. And I think of that and then I think of this game and I'm like, it's the same thing, but it's not as bad because he's playing Trundle. Like you notice it less.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that's like the real issue on 100 Thieves Academy is that Contracts doesn't seem to be playing very well at the moment, and that's
Yeah.
pretty hard for a team to rely without a jungler, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that he's the only problem. Like, there's obviously synergy problems with him and the other members, but his individual play looks like the worst on the team.
Yeah. Just watching Yusui 1v9 at a certain point. But, the early game being carried by Fire because he's Olaf and Contracts keeps trying to fight him and shit like that. And I'm just like, this is not how you're supposed to, like, play the matchup, I guess. Because running it down on Olaf in his jungle when, like, they have, like, Yumi and stuff like that. Because, like, that's exactly what happened. Like, one play, like, Contracts almost killed Fire. But Yumi showed up and, like, used everything and saved him. And I was like, yep, that sucks. But I don't know if you're supposed to be playing it like that necessarily, sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, the Yumi Olaf is something that people have been playing. The
Mm-hmm.
problem with it is, like, it falls off really hard late game. But
Yeah.
100 Thieves Academy was just like, we're losing now. We have to do something. And then they kind of just lost at like a dragon fight. They try and like contest a dragon, and then they just get caught out by the Yumi Olaf, and then they proceed to like lose the game because Yusui just pops off on Zoe right after.
Yeah. And
Um,
also, picking the Nautilus when they already have Zaya is kind of troll from 100 Thieves, in my opinion. Because, like, Nautilus, all he has is, like, Hook for, like, his team, right? And then he
yeah,
has E and then W, which are, like, more for himself as abilities. So, like, there are certain points in the game where, like, Breezy and, like, Contracts are, like, in the river, and then they just get caught by, like, Olaf Yumi. And, like, he's Nautilus. He's just going to throw everything onto the Olaf that's alting, and you can't really do much about that. But I just find it weird that, like, they just don't want to do the Zyra Khan synergy when it's, like, still, like, super duper good despite it getting nerfed so many times.
and Breezy's such a good Rakan player. Like,
Yeah.
I think we've talked about it before, but his Rakan is like really crisp. Um, it's pretty gross actually because he played really well in the weeks that he was playing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, in their other game that they played, I feel like this game was weird to watch.
How so? How would you describe it other than
because
it being weird?
because there's a Shyvana Azir Pantheon as your top side. And it's full AP Shyvana, by the way, with like Dark Harvest.
Are you talking about the EG game?
Yeah, the one they played earlier the first game they played this week.
Okay.
So they play full AP Shyvana, and then Contracts is like running around like spitting. It's like a 40 something minute game. I feel like they win because they just scaled.
Yeah,
Uh
they actually won that game because they scaled. Like, they were not winning early game at all.
no.
And, like, EG through when they went for mid inhib, right? And then
Yeah.
they rotated top, and then definitely died at tier 3, and then they lost a 50-50 for Elder, and then the game got stalled out. So that's
Yeah,
exactly why they lost.
and then but the whole I mean the draft is weird because they're playing like full AP scaling, but then they also pick Pantheon.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely just a weird game to watch to me
Yeah.
because the champions didn't work well together, and then there's the weird AP Shiv. I don't know. It seems the game just it's like it's basically like in solo queue where you just have a scaling comp and someone's picking like this most early game champion ever, and then you just wait until you come online. You wait until the enemy can't end the game, basically, and that's it.
Yeah, it's very interesting that like EG threw in such a way that like they didn't expect them to lose sort of thing, but like you guys need to like pay attention to like timers, especially Elder. Like despite you getting 4 Drakes, you need to pay attention to Elder because that's like the more important buff, honestly.
Yeah, and we saw like some teams just literally give up like 4 dragons, and then the team contests at Elder and they turn it around. I mean, it didn't always work, but they did it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh,
Yeah.
and I mean, this got shown in the one game. It was the CLG win, the second CLG win. Did you
Mm-hmm.
watch?
What, LCS or Academy?
No, Academy, Academy.
I believe I did.
Yeah, so Tuesday
Against
played.
IMT, right?
Yeah, IT Academy, and Tuesday they played a poke comp with GP Zoe Varus,
Mm-hmm.
and it was lethality Varus,
Yep.
and IMT Academy literally they gave up 4 dragons, and it was Infernal Soul, and I just remember watching like, God, IMT Academy looks so bad this week. Because remember we were
Yeah.
talking about IMT Academy like, oh, they're 6-3, they're looking like the second best team in in Academy, and then we talked about it last week. They were 0-4 in
Yeah.
the last 4, and then now they're 0-6. They're on a 6-game loss streak.
Yeah. Well, I guess when the highs are high, the lows are super low.
Yeah, it was. It's honestly kind of baffling to me. I mean, Alltech also played for IMT Academy this week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but apparently, I was listening to Crumbs, and he said that the only reason they swapped Apollo and Altec is because they wanted to try something to see if it worked. Just they basically just wanted to try because nothing else was working. Um, and it's not like Altec played particularly poorly in his games, but
Hey
I
man,
felt like
I
the
wouldn't.
team around him.
A little bit of a meme here, but supposedly
Oh,
Crumbs has said some things
oh
that like
yeah,
aren't true, and like Demonte was like, "Hey Crumbs, I didn't get any offers for a mid
mid lane.
laner." Yeah, so like stop spreading fake news or some shit. And I was like,
No,
"Oof,
that was the tweet. That was the tweet. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah," and I was like,
Uh,
"That's fucking yikes, bro."
yeah. Maybe not the best source then,
Yeah, credibility is
but
definitely like everything,
kind of
especially when
shot.
you're
Yeah.
literally in the scene and you're like just spouting like dumb shit that like isn't true or turns out to not be true, I guess.
I mean,
But
Pole Belter didn't say anything though, so
yeah,
I think the I think it could be easy to like maybe get mixed up, right? You say like, oh yeah, Pole Belter and Demonte, but you really mean to say like in general, Pole Belter declined offers because
hmm,
I can imagine Pole Belter getting offered like 100K and him being like, are you joking?
yeah,
100K. He'll like whip out his resume and like, yo, I've been to Worlds 4 times. I've made it to the finals. I have 3 championships. Da, da, da. I had one bad split. You're gonna offer me 100K? I can imagine Paul Belter being like, "Fuck off," on an offer like that, right?
possibly.
I'm just saying, I can imagine it because with his kind of like rep, with his accomplishments, pretty hard not to offer him something like that. I mean, look at Wild Turtle's contract. Wild Turtle's contract is 700,000 a year. And it's not like he has the same kind of accomplishments as Pobelter to a
Yeah,
degree. I mean, he has
very
titles, but
similar.
yeah. So I can imagine Pobelter like, where's my money? I mean, now he's on CLG. He's probably like, I don't really care. I just want to play.
Hmm.
Yeah, at some point, you realize like, I just want to play the game and not be irrelevant.
Yeah,
Um. So yeah, IMT Academy really slipped. Both teams, IMT Academy and IMT, the actual team, crashing and burning really hard these past couple weeks.
yeah. Very, very interesting. So the other IMT Academy game I want to talk about is against TLA, which TLA are obviously like at the bottom, and they somehow managed to clutch it out against IMTA. So I just think it's literally because IMT are just playing super duper bad. But I think TLA are also just like ramping it up as well.
Schernfire has been playing. I think Schernfire is like a big reason for their improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually, I think since Schernfire has come in, they've actually done a lot of good work. They've really improved in the last few weeks, which makes like the current situation that just happened like really awkward for TL Academy at least, right?
A little.
Uh, yeah. I think the only people on TLA that still don't like Cow has looked much better.
Oh yeah, this game especially. Like he played
Yeah,
super duper well on the Thresh.
yeah,
He knew the matchup exactly, because Tarek, despite him being like a late game god, his early game is complete garbage and his mid game's eh. So he played to that and definitely made some pretty good picks. I'm not gonna lie. So.
yeah. I mean, that was weird to me that they paired Lucian with Tarek.
Hmm.
I mean, Callista was open,
I don't think teams have
so
figured that out yet.
I mean, TL actually play. I feel like that when you see something on stage, it's really unlikely that it didn't get like passed around in scrims, right? Um,
Possibly, but some teams may not be like, oh, it's actually not that good.
yeah, that's true. I think the INT draft this game was pretty troll too. Diana's not that good of a pick, and Potluck hasn't looked as good as he had previously. Like he seems performance wise to not like himself. I I think it's just like the picks around the team. Like the champion pools are not meshing well because they're just having really poor games like cohesively. Like Insanity's picks aren't really working anymore because he was all about playing like Orn mid and stuff like this, and now it's not really working.
Yeah, I think IMTs are just tilted and they're not exactly sure why they're like losing a shit ton now.
Yeah,
So, and with the whole like meta shift change at 10.4, they're kind of in
struggling.
shambles. Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of in shambles, dude. I mean maybe 10.5 changes things. 10.5, the turn changes are pretty big for pro.
Mm-hmm.
Not much like the champion picks, not too much. Maybe the champion picks will change because of the turn changes. Maybe we'll see like some indirect buffs to certain champions that we're not thinking about. But aside from that, I think the meta. It's hard to say what 10.5 will do. But yeah,
Yeah. Mainly the turn changes are the
mainly the
most
turn.
interesting.
Yeah, but TLA Jenkins is the only one who I feel has like kind of looked the same the entire time.
Yeah, more or less. He's on like
Yeah.
GP duty and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, honestly, kind of weird that people just like keep letting him have it. Are they just not afraid of it, and they're just like, whatever, let him play it, and it just does stuff later because it scales.
Yeah. Super duper weird because once that champion hits 6, it's like, all right, all bot, GG.
Oh, bot GG.
Or mid,
Yeah. So TLA, big improvement. IMTA, really falling down. The other teams I want to talk about, at least this week, are Dig Academy and Cloud9 Academy. Cloud9 Academy is now only one game behind Dig Academy. And they also just beat Dig Academy on Monday
Mm-hmm.
in a really kind of a pretty back and forth game. Like the game ended and Dig Academy had a gold lead.
Yeah. I mean, that game was just really weird because like anytime a game goes super late against Dig, they just somehow manage to like clutch it out. And like for like this game in particular, the FlyQuest one, right?
No. I'm talking about the Cloud9 Academy Dig game.
Oh, okay, that one.
Yeah, where it goes like 40 minutes and then they lose because they gave up so much early. They like were
Okay. So this one's different. Okay. So I think it's mainly because like C9 actually like targeted like what was like strong about Dig Academy is that like they're just giving them like comfort picks and stuff like that. And then on top of that, I think C9 are just like playing super duper well as like a team.
Recently, yeah, they've been stepping up.
Yeah. So.
Fudge in particular played really well this week.
Mhm.
And we mentioned it last week that Fudge really needed to step it up if they wanted to do a lot better. And his GP game was good, like really good actually. But then this game, his set game was also very good. It was he played the champion well. He didn't really make many mistakes in team fights. He landed one really good ulti, and that was pretty game changing, honestly, because King just got a lot of kills off of that one fight.
Mhm.
And honestly, King, he's not there. He's not in the studio right now. Fudge is, but King played really well on the MF. He did have that one int at like the dig inhibitor tower where like he gets ulted by Phoenix and then just dies.
Mhm.
Um, it was funny to watch because he just like you just watch him turn around to shoot and he just gets like frozen and dies. um,
Yeah.
but Cloud9 Academy has been improving a lot, and Dig Academy is finally getting contested. And do you think that this is because the other academy teams are improving, or that Dig Academy is like just getting worse?
I think Dig or like so. For example, for the C9 game, I think C9 are like they figured it out as to why Dig have been winning so much. So that's part of it. So like yeah, teams are figuring out Dig, but I think it's also because like Dig aren't playing to the level that they could be. They're kind of complacent in that regard.
You think they're not as good as they should be?
Yeah, I think they could be playing a lot better and a lot more clean. I think if Ole played more than like 3 champions, I think that would help a lot. Uh,
Oh God, yeah, you're right.
because all we see him play is like Tom Kench and Thresh, I believe. So
And a game he did play a Braum game.
he did play a Braum game, but that's
I
about
mean,
it.
everybody plays Braum, so
Yeah. If you're a support player and you don't play Braum, you're trolling. But
kind of easy to play though.
for the most part, I've seen some really bad Braum players. There's like very like small, minute things that if you don't know, you don't know, sort of thing.
I remember watching Huhi throw shield in the wrong direction, and his whole team got murdered by MF ulti because of it.
Hey man, shit happens.
It was one of the games earlier. I now I can see why you can be a bad Braum. Anything else you want to talk about on Academy this week? The rest of the games are pretty mid-tier teams, just trading back and forth.
Yeah, I didn't really have any other like notes,
Okay.
so we can move
Oof.
on.
Yeah. So earlier we talked about TLA and how they're gonna have a pretty big shift next week in the fact that they are going to be having Rikara as their ADC because Doublift is being benched from the main roster and Tactical is being brought up and they'll be sharing scrim time and competing for the spot.
Yeah.
What do you
So
think?
so first, let's start with Rikar, right?
Yeah.
He was first introduced to the scene when he was brought up in 100 Thieves, which that team went to Worlds that year and they underperformed significantly because the roster that gave them those spring points was with Meteos and Cody Sun, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't have those players anymore. They had Rikar, Anda, so it seemed really sus that they had Rikar, but they also had Cody Sun still. They had him on the roster, but they just chose to not play him. Excuse me.
It's
But
alright, it's alright.
what's it called? It just seems really weird that Rikara hasn't been given like a really like solid like second chance. Cause like he was on Clutch Gaming Academy when they got rid of Piglet and they wanted to bring Cody Sun up in the main roster. They were like, all right, we'll just get Rikara. And it seems like the same thing again. We're like, all right, we need a NAAD to play Academy for us. All right, Rikara is a free agent. Let's pick him up. I think he's a good player. He does have a bit of an ego and kind of toxic, but I think that For Academy, I think he'll do well.
Yeah, I think his rep is the reason why he didn't have a spot this year. Not in LCS because I don't think he was ready for LCS when he got brought up. Honestly, it kind of showed in their games that he wasn't particularly ready. He didn't
Yeah.
do that poorly, but he just didn't seem up to par, right? Um, but the big thing is that because he's hard to work with, it makes academy teams not want to pick you up. I think for academy teams, a lot of the time, if you're hard to work with, you're not very valuable to them
Hmm.
because then it's like, well, we can't make you better if you don't work with us. If you have ego, I think the
Yeah,
problem with
pretty
a lot of
much.
league players is that they have ego, and that kind of ties into the whole double thing and double ego around play having to play spring, right? It's like, oh my god, I have to play spring split. It doesn't matter for worlds, and that's the whole reason he's getting benched for. One, he wasn't playing particularly well, right? Which
Hmm.
you can kind of like look at his motivation issues too, and both of those things combined made him not look very good in the first, say, 5 weeks of games.
Yeah.
And I think it really sucks because when you think about it, imagine you're on a team, right? And one of your teammates says, like, oh, I don't really care, blah, blah, blah. Like, how do you feel if like, if you're on a team and you're competing and someone says, I don't really care?
All
I've
right,
done it
bench this guy,
before.
get someone else.
That's your whole thing? You're like, just bench this dude? I don't want to play with
Like,
someone who doesn't care?
I get that it's like spring split and all, but like we're still competing and we're still trying to win, right? So
Yeah.
if you're not like motivated and you're not like trying to win still at like your best, you're kind of like not contributing much to the team
Especially, like,
because you know
continue.
Doublelift is like Doublelift is without a doubt one of the best ADCs in NA, but when you have like a ego like that where it's like, all right, spring doesn't matter, we're gonna go to worlds anyways. It's like that could also just not happen, which is like what it kind of looks like right now, where like they could still go into playoffs, but they could also not go into playoffs still. So, in like going into playoffs, like that's crucial, like practice time, like best of threes, best of five, sort of, like practice time that you're like missing out if you don't go to playoffs. You know?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And my whole thing about it, and I'm a very big Double O fan. I've been a fan of Double O since season 3, spring. So for the last 7 years, I've been following him.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I think it comes at a really bad time because from the way the meta is shifting to me, ADCs have lost a lot of say on how the game goes, right? We
Yeah.
talk about how ADCs just kind of sit there and just wait for their team to do stuff. And my opinion on ADC right now is that you don't notice an ADC until they start play until they're feeding. Like you won't notice what an ADC does until they start playing badly. So if you just have someone that will sit there and do their job, it doesn't even seem that bad. And that's the thing with tactical is that it's not like he's bad. He's looked good in academy and he's looked good on stage in LCS. And when you have someone like tactical who is say let's say 20%, like let's give it generous, 20% worse at laning than double lift is, right?
Uh huh.
If laning is mostly to the support, like who wins the lane, and you have core JJ, that makes it pretty hard for there to be some kind of like a gap in the bot lane, right? And if he lets you play weak side bot lane, I think it's been known that Doublelift hates playing weak side bot lane. He just doesn't want to do it. Most of his teams never play weak side bot lane.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, except for 2017 summer TSM where they played weak side bot lane for Hunter. Um, but that's like the whole thing is that when you have Impact Jensen on your team, your solo lanes can carry, but if they're always required to play to bot side, it makes it pretty. It makes it not look good on Doublelift when they win playing the other style.
Yeah, definitely. Because, like, this is their first 2-0 week, right?
Yeah, it's the first 2 a week.
So, results show for themselves. And they were like, huh, this did work out. If we want to play tactical again, we need another AD to, like, fill the academy spot.
Well,
So they were like,
Doublelift's not fucking playing Academy.
of course, of course, of course. So they were like, all right, we'll just get Ricard, see if he's interested. Obviously, he was because he signed on.
Yeah.
And now they're fighting for that spot, which is good. But, if Doublelift can be mature about it, which, on Twitter it looks like he is, but we don't know what's going on in his head or behind the scenes or whatever. I think that this will motivate him to play to win and not just, dick around sort of thing and be like, it's just spring lol sort of thing.
Do you think we see him again before playoffs?
Possibly. I think so. I don't see why, they wouldn't try to, put him back in. But if they do put him back in and then they lose, it's going to be like, oof, what happened, guys?
It'll look really like, and that's my worry is that, this is my worry as a Doublelift fan. Because this is me not talking from the Team Liquid standpoint. This is me talking from like the Doublelift standpoint. Okay. Is that if your sub let your team play a different style that they crushed with, when you come back in, there is going to be there's going to be friction between the team now, because it'll be like, hey DL, we want to play this style that we think is better, and at that point you have to go, shit, either I have to fit to the team now or I'm not going to play. Yeah. Because they won't want to play with me if I'm forcing them to play my style. It's kind of like Piglet, how Piglet always wanted the lane advantage because he wanted to be able to carry, but Piglet couldn't carry on it. Like, so Piglet got the resources, but he couldn't perform. Doublelift gets the resources and then does it. So if your team no longer has to play that style to win, you would have to change your entire style to fit the team. And that's where like the ego could come in, and it's like Doublelift's ego could be like, well, if I'm not getting played around, then I don't want to play.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting because like people will now like look back on like Doublelift's like past like teams and like rosters and be like, was he the reason why they didn't like advance in groups or like this and that sort of thing? Because they're like they always had to like play towards bot and just have like impact like sack everything sort of thing.
Yeah. And that goes towards the trend of like, oh, Doublelift played well, but the team still lost. And it's like, well, if you give all your resource, like your draft resources and your in-game resources to Doublelift and then you don't win, well then you move away from that and see if you can win in another way.
Yeah.
And I think star players really don't like getting benched.
Of course. Remember when C9 benched? Yeah, C9 benched Jensen, Sneaky, Smoothie.
Yeah, Smoothie literally dipped out, went to Echo Fox.
I believe Echo Fox, yeah.
Yeah. And then Jensen, right after their semifinals worlds run, is like, I'm gone. I'm out to Liquid. Like, I think he got bought out too. It wasn't even his contract wasn't done. He got bought out by Liquid, because Jack sold him. Because Jensen wanted to leave. So at that point, it's like, well, Jensen's been on that side, right? Where he's like, I got benched for motivation, and I don't want to be benched again ever. So he's just going to go to a team that will just play him.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. Obviously, I don't know Doublelift. I don't know what his mental is like or anything like that. But it could seem that, like, if he got benched, say for spring playoffs, right? And like they still win. Say probably like in between spring and summer, he's like, well, if the team plays better without me, then I'm just gonna go somewhere else. Is something that could seriously come up, and I think that's kind of good for this is looking really far in the future, but it's kind of good because it'll improve the league because you move a star carry to another position and you brought up an academy player. I think that's always good when that happens, but it does make things really turbulent, especially for the team that it's happening to.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, TL 2-0 this week with Tactical. Any thoughts on the games that they played? Aside from the fact that they played a really different style, honestly.
Uh, yeah. I mean, what's it called? The games they had. So like for example, the TSM one. Fucking TSM through the draft. I don't know what the fuck they were doing, but can't take it away from Liquid for playing standard and actually playing to win. Because that TSM draft looked fucking reportable, 100%.
Oof,
Uh,
that Mount. I don't think the Maokai was the big problem. I think the Kale was the big
I
problem.
think the fact that they locked in Kale and then they like pinched themselves into like a really bad spot, and I was like, this is not fucking good. And then the Kale got ganked early and then died, and I was like, all right, that's pretty much it for the Kale until like level 16, you know? So,
Yeah, it was
but
pretty GG.
I
He only
think,
ended the game with 2 items.
yeah, I think TL definitely played, the games well as they could. But the other TL game
100
that
Thieves.
was played, yeah, against 100 Thieves, I think that one was pretty good because we got to see the Tarek Callista, I believe, and we got to see how nasty that combo is, especially since they cheesed the bush and they got stunt level 1. So and then Ezreal Yumi, they already can't do shit in lane. Like they honestly cannot do anything against that lane other than like poke and like hope that they like int it. But since stunt died level 1, they actually can't do anything like 100% unless like jungle comes, but that's kind of a waste. But 100 Thieves definitely did nothing that game, and
Like
I
actually
think
nothing.
yeah,
They had no kills.
they did nothing. They took 0 plays, they took 0 kills. I think they might have taken 1 tower.
They got one
Uh,
tower because Ryoma was split pushing, and they lost. They lost it. They lost like a tier 2 for the tier 1. So
yeah,
the only reason they didn't get perfect game was because of that one tower.
hmm
It was a pretty, honestly, a pretty fast close. The thing that made me look at this game and think, oh no, for Doublelift is that they still bot lane kingdom. Like they
yeah,
still won really hard through bot lane, and then Broxo was able to just play everywhere else. They did have one like early gank bot lane where they killed Cody, uh, and that's basically they killed Stunt in the obviously in the cheese, but then they killed
hmm
Cody afterwards in like a dive, and they got bot lane kingdom, and it was basically GG after that. Broxon never really showed up outside again. He just chilled around mid lane around Jensen, and it looked really clean. I think it also has to do with the fact that Brox is like not jet lagged anymore, not super tired. It can't all just be like tacticals in the game, so suddenly they're like amazing. Um,
yeah,
Brox definitely is looking much better, and obviously they already said they're playing tactical this week.
hmm
So that'll be week 7. So the earliest double if could come back in is week 8.
yeah,
And that's 2 more weeks of the team synergizing. I think TL is going to be really, really strong no matter who they have. Do I think they'll be stronger with Doublelift because Doublelift's a better mechanical player? Yes. Does the team work better without Doublelift? We have to see.
yeah. I think Doublelift like has a voice. Like he's obviously a veteran and has a lot of experience playing the game, so I think that definitely plays into effect. But if they just keep winning with tactical, I don't see why they would swap Devlet back in unless it's like, all right, it's like a really really hard opponent or like playoffs coming up or a super important match that they might be like, all right, maybe we do have to go into the Doublelift hole and hopefully he'll carry us or like or
I
they want to like play towards bot lane that game. They're like, okay, then we'll just have Doublelift in,
I
just
think
like almost guarantee it.
that's the only thing is that if tactical was bad enough where they were losing lane, I buy the fact that you bring Doublelift back in for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point, the difference between tactical and Doublelift is not big enough where a better in-game synergy would disqualify him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So next week TL plays. Sorry, let me look at the schedule really quick. On
It's okay, man. But yeah, I guess I could talk about 100 Thieves a little. I don't know. They kind of fucking trolled against TL. Like we said, they legit did nothing. But against EG though, they were doing some things. They were actually playing to win that game, which was very nice to see.
Oh,
Uh
they're so weird because they play one really good game and then they'll play a really awful game.
yeah. And like, EG, like they're also like a very like coin flippy team as well, cuz like they lost against 100 Thieves, right?
Yeah.
And then EG picked up a win against Golden Guardians,
Yeah.
which is like
I'll let you go. I'll let you go.
Golden Guardians are supposed to be better than these guys, but I guess the Rumble bot lane pick kind of like threw them off or something. I don't know,
I think it's
because
a
like
Senna.
that shouldn't have been everything. Maybe the Senna, honestly, because Senna with another bot laner that's just farming, that's kind of broken. Because
Yeah.
that's just super oppressive and really annoying. So
Yeah. By the way, I have the TL match for next week. It's gonna be CLG and IMT. So actually a pretty easy week for like if Tactical came in and they 2-0'd again. They are teams that are like super hard slipping.
hmm
Like IMT's on. They won their last game, but before that, I think they were on a 5-game losing streak. Uh, so kind of rough for them. Or I don't think it was 5 actually. I think it was 4. It was 4 games. They were on a 4-game losing streak before that one. Um, but yeah, basically the 100 Thieves is I think the middle of the pack is literally straight coin flips right now. It's
yeah,
100 Thieves, Dig, EG, Golden Guardians are literally all coin flipping games against each other. And it's
yeah,
so weird to watch because I'm like, okay, Golden Guardians is gonna have a great week. They're gonna 2-0. They're gonna beat IMT and they're gonna beat EG. And then you just see them, they crush IMT, and then the next
yep,
game they play EG, they just get demolished. It's so and it's every single one of them. It's all of them. It's Golden Guardians, it's 100 Thieves, it's EG, and it's Dig. I mean, not Dig this week, but you get what I'm saying. Like these teams are literally just flipping coins and seeing who's gonna win. It's honestly really hard to watch. I'm like, it can't all be draft diff. Like some games are winning draft and then losing the game, like Golden Guardians did. Um, they win the draft and then they proceed to like run the game into the ground, and I just can't sometimes. Like when I watch it, I get so confused. Like, how do you go from being doing the right things to doing the wrong things in the next game, right?
yeah. Because I think for Dignitas, they're definitely fucking trolling. I have no idea what the hell they're doing. They went OT this week, unfortunately, but the first game against FlyQuest, they kind of just gave them Senna, and then like they didn't have like a really good response for it, because like the way Senna works now compared to before is that like she'll actually just like, since she doesn't farm, she doesn't have to worry about it. She just has to worry about getting to you, and since you're the one trying to farm and like trying to like get your spacing out, it doesn't really matter, because she'll get the poke off either way, sort of thing.
Yeah,
And
especially versus
since
something like Aphelios and Tom Kench.
Yeah, and like since you don't have to pair it with Tom Kench, you can pair it with like Rumble, fucking Nautilus. Like these they're like champions that are still like viable for this combo. It's definitely super interesting. But
And it was AP
Dignitas,
not.
yeah, that too. That was also very interesting. Dignitas first picking Tom Kench first rotation for both games. Hard int, bro. Fucking hard int. Stop it. It's
Afterwood
honestly
does
so
not look
bad.
good on it. Like he's played actually pretty. Aside from his week 1 performance on it, because he saved Froggen a lot on the Victor with the Tom Kench.
Yeah,
Recently, he's just looked awful on it. Like he just keeps. I don't think it's him specifically, but as a pick, it's not working for them. And
yeah.
maybe, and this was something that kind of gets brought up sometimes, is that when people were joking around like FBI's holding Keith back, right? It's like people are saying like, oh, Keith has to play Tom Kench to keep FBI safe. Let him play fucking Thresh and shit like that, right? Do you think it's that kind of thing? Do you think that Johnson is kind of
Hell no.
getting? You don't
Hell
know.
no. No. That's definitely not it. Think
You don't
Card
think
just
it's
inting the
Johnson
fucking
needs it?
drafts. No, I don't think Johnson needs that. Because Johnson's a fucking solo queue god, right? This
Yeah.
guy's a solo queue monster. He doesn't need Tom Kench to keep him safe. He's probably played with a handful of supports that are just like running it down.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't think he needs Tom Kench. I just think Card's inting the draft. Or someone in that team's inting it.
Yeah. I mean, the Hootie, but yeah, the drafts are pretty in. I'm not gonna lie, because picking Mordekaiser into set, it just doesn't work. Like set beats Mordekaiser. I don't know why people keep picking it. And then what was interesting to me, especially in this game, is that Power of Evil played Kiana and Santorin played Gragas. So this is
Yeah.
a super strong like mid jungle duo combo,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it attests to how good Froggen is that he only died 2 times this game.
Yeah.
Like this is something where like you will like start running it down into like Gragas Kiana, because that combo is so gross to play against as like a mid laner who's kind of a mobile like Ziggs. He only really has the knock up, which is honestly kind of hard to use sometimes as like an instant escape.
Mm-hmm.
So Froggen I still feel like is looking good, but he's kind of reverting back to like the Froggen champions. Like he's not playing what he was playing earlier in the season. It's I get the Oriana's ban, but he like picks Ziggs, he picks Anivia. I know the Anivia pick versus Cloud9 is literally like, we are never gonna beat you playing any kind of standard. Let's try and fucking cheese.
Mm-hmm.
I get that draft, right? Because I don't
Yeah.
think there's any way they're gonna win. But the one against FlyQuest, it's like you gave up before you even played the game. Like this is a game that's like winnable, right? When you look at the names on the teams, you're like, yeah, Hooney's probably better than Viper. Yeah, Froggen's can be as good as Power Evil. Johnson's the new kind of up and comer, and Wild Turtle's like the old guy. And I guess the big differences are between jungle and support, where Centauran and Ignar are a lot better than their counterparts, I would say. Like significantly. What do you feel on that? Do you think they're significantly better?
Individually, maybe for jungle. But maybe like synergy wise, they're definitely much better. It seems like Santorin and Ignar know what they want to do, like together on the map, like stuff like that. I think their synergy is much better than Dignitas for Grig and Afro.
Yeah. They're actually 2-7 in their last 9. Not a good look for Dignitas.
Yeah,
Especially
it's definitely not good.
yeah. And their first 3 wins, you can kind of like see it now. Like it was EG, CLG, and TL without Broxa. So pretty rough, honestly, for Dig right now.
Hey man, when the highs are high, the lows are low.
Oof, true. Uh, Another
Let's
team
see.
we have to talk about that went 0-2.
Uh-huh.
Yikes, TSM.
Okay.
Where are your boys, man?
Like I fucking said, bro. TSM versus TL. They entered the draft, right?
Yeah, we talked about that one, right? So
They entered the fucking draft, okay?
again,
TSM versus CLG, however, they entered their play and the draft. And the draft on
you
top
think
of
they
that.
entered the draft still?
Look, you picked Senna support.
Oh.
You picked Senna support.
You're right. Yo,
Fucking why? Why would you do that?
I remember
And then they had
watching-
BV on Mordekaiser, and he was running it. He was straight running
Oh my
it.
God, 2-6,
You can't
2-6.
tell me he wasn't running it. And then Paul Walter's living in Bjergsen's head rent free with the Victor.
I told you, man, rent free. Yo,
You see, like at first I thought you were memeing, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe he is. Low key, maybe he is.
we were watching the game together, and holy fuck, man, Pobelter literally just said, "Hey, Bjergsen, remember this?"
And
then
like
he just
fucking Bjergsen's
clapped
playing Zoe
him.
too. Zoe's so dumb. But I guess within like a competitive and like a like controlled environment, it's like harder to play. But even then, man, like that champion just does so much damage and has like so much like randomness going on. I don't know.
Honestly,
I feel like I feel like TSM, like, their draft was just so bad. Because when you have Senna support, you kind of just, like, give the fact that you're not going to have another tank anywhere.
Yeah, I think that was a big problem, especially into the team comp that CLG had. But to go back
Mm-hmm.
on the Bjergsen Pobelter point, I have pro view, so I was watching. Pobelter was actually running circles around Bjergsen in lane. Like, he was not getting touched by skill shots at all. And
Yo,
it
straight
really
up,
showed.
once Pobelter got Banshees, he was kind of just like frontlining and like just didn't give a shit. Fucking big dig Pobe, honestly. Cause like there's a play where he's like running towards bot to like catch a wave, right? And
Yeah.
like Dardoch sees, he's
Oh,
like,
God, I
wait a minute,
remember.
this fucking guy's by himself. He ults in, fucking stopwatches as SJ4. Meanwhile, fucking Pobelter's just like, I'm doing damage. You're gonna fucking die, which he did. He did die, and like. What the hell?
Pobelter had flash the entire time he didn't flash out of the Cataclysm.
Of course,
He just
because
sat there and took it like a man. He's like, you can't
he's
kill
like,
me.
look, bro, all you have is what, fucking gargoyles. You're not gonna do anything to me.
Yeah, he even had backup.
He didn't even have gargoyles. He had fucking Knight's Vow and then a Negatron Cloak. That's all he had.
He had backup, like not Pobelter. Dardoch had backup, but the shields from Victor Q at that point in the game, nutty. They were like 500 health shields every single time. And you know that shit is on a 2 second cooldown. I would know. I play Victor. He was clapping kids.
Oh
The,
yeah, straight
the
up
most
when
fun thing to see was just Pobelter pressing Q auto E R, and he nearly two-shot. He nearly killed both Bjergsen and Broken Blade. But Broken Blade flashed out and Bjergsen didn't have flash. So he almost killed both of them with one rotation.
yeah, when they were like sieging the tier 3 top tower for the inhib, and then he like fucking autoed a minion and then autoed the tower for like 1/6 of its HP. I was like, yep, that guy's fucking strong.
Yep. Yeah, fuck it. Dude, Victor. They were talking about it on the cast, but like these are the Victor games that are like, yo, why don't I play Victor every game? And I thought the exact same thing in my head. I was like, yeah, why don't I play Victor every game? And then I'll play it and I'll remember like, oh, this is why I don't play Victor every game. Because the amount of times you get to that point is like it's a coin flip whether you get there. I've played Victor with you and our friends, and half the time you'll see me smurf like 10-0, and then the other half is like I'm 0-0-0 with like 300 farm, and I'm like, guys, I'm scaled, and then we lose.
Yeah.
So yeah, but this game was super good. I mean, Wiggly did his job early, right? Like well, he did die for first blood, but aside from that, he kind of did his job. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Ruin his equalizers were really good. If you didn't know, Ruin is stay calm on the ladder. Did you know that was his account?
No, but keep
So
going.
he's right now he is top 10 challenger, and his other account is top 50 challenger, and he has like a 70 something percent win rate on Rumble. Like Ruin is a solo queue Smurf. In pro play it doesn't really show, but in solo queue he Ruin Smurfs, and it really showed on this Rumble pick because he would throw an equalizer down and people were losing half HP across the board.
Oh
Especially
yeah,
like
I'm
the
actually just like going through his OPIGG right now. Like it's actually every fucking game's top diff.
yeah, I'm telling you, Ruin is a solo queue Smurf. Like, and this is what LS talks about on when he like co-streams. He's like, "Oh, you guys are idiots. Ruin is good. Look at this. Look at this." I'm like, I mean, yeah, he looks really good, like in solo queue and individually, but like on the stage, he was like running it down early on. Now he's looking better. Um, and 6A and Smoothie, I think Smoothie's still kind of like. I think this is the reason why Smoothie has not been doing really well, is that a lot of the meta is starting to shift more towards the better you are at laning, the more likely you are to succeed. And I think it's always been said that Smoothie's laning is kind of weak. This game it didn't really show though, because you're Ezreal Senna versus Varus Tom Kench. Like,
Yeah, you're not gonna win lane.
yeah, so I don't like that's the whole thing, is that TSM's drafting is bad, and then their play against CLG was like really bad, and then And that's just the thing. I guess like maybe the Liquid game like tilted them because you lost. Just imagine like you draft that kind of comp, you lose to Liquid, who doesn't have double, and then you have to play against CLG, and then you lose again. Like, what does that do to your mental? Like, does your mental like break?
Draft diff. That's all I can say, honestly. Because,
On it?
like, fucking Senna support, you're actually trolling. There's a reason why no one's played that competitively. It's because it's fucking bad.
I think
'Cause
they're
you
the only team
sacrifice.
to have done it.
Yeah, because you sacrifice a tank in your team. Obviously, it's a fucking support on a tank, but
For another damage dealer that you don't need.
yeah. And, like, when they did, like, Senna Rumble, like, Rumble makes sense because that shit's dumb. Fucking Rumble
Rumble's
equalizer.
OP, so
Yeah, which is like exactly what happened in CLG versus TSM. Rumble just like equalized on top of all of them, and then TSM had to run. They can't fight like at all.
yeah, it really hard draft diff problem. In the CLG game is really hard draft diff. In the Liquid game, the Broken Blade playing badly on like the one wing condition is like the really rough thing. I think
Yeah,
if Broken Blade had played well, that game turns out really different.
yeah. I think if he doesn't
The
die to
chaos
that
scales,
gank,
yeah.
yeah,
But again, Impact, it's my boy, Smurfing on the fucking set. You saw that 5-1 and 5, crisp.
mm-hmm.
Um, also, Cloud9. I think the big match we really haven't talked about yet is Cloud9 versus FlyQuest. First versus second. What were your thoughts on the game?
I mean, it looked like FlyQuest weren't playing to win. They were kind of just like playing to not lose, if you know what I mean.
I think it really showed in the game time how that
Yeah,
worked.
because like the game was going super slow, but like they have really strong early late game tools with like Blitzcrank and like Lee Sin, right?
Yeah.
But like they weren't like pushing for that sort of thing. Like they didn't want to take risks with the comp that they had when they really should have, you know? And like I think a few of the mistakes from Power of Evil were like really bad. Just because like when the game's going like so like on like a stalemate, and then when you make like those few mistakes, it really shows.
Oh, it really tilts the game
Yeah.
because it's and this is the weird thing to me is that when the game is even for a long period of time, it takes a lot less to shift the scales of the game,
Yeah.
right? Because say like a bunch of people die early game, yeah, it like puts it to someone else's favor by like a lot, but when the mid game comes around, it like starts to equal out a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're already in the mid game and someone makes a mistake, it literally just like the scales just fucking flip over. And that's really what happened to me is that like FlyQuest make an early play topside, right? And they kill Licorice.
Yeah.
And Cloud9 is so good because I just watched Niski blow his sums for a pick on Viper, where Viper's in the river clearing a ward, and they're like, yo, Viper's no flash, just fucking all in him. And they just blow Niski's flash for the kill. And it just made me so impressed with how Cloud9 takes advantage of someone's mistakes. But
Yeah,
it's not even a
'cause
mistake, right?
Fucking Niski's out here with the timers 24/7.
Yeah.
So.
And it doesn't even feel like a mistake, right? It's like FlyQuest used 2 flashes to kill Licorice top for first blood. But because they know he doesn't have flash, it's like, oh, he's slightly out of position in the fucking... Like, he's barely even in the river. And they're just like, just go. They just pull the trigger and they go. And it's honestly so good to see from a team. Because I think that's something you would see internationally. Like, if a team... Like, if a Chinese team knew you didn't have flash, they would just go on you. They would be like, we can kill him, 100%, no flash. Right?
Yeah.
And it was honestly, like, really nice to see. And it's really making me think FlyQuest is actually... Might be better than full power Liquid, almost.
Maybe.
Like, if Liquid was at their peak, I feel like this Cloud9 might actually be better. I think a lot of people think that, or they're not sure yet, right? I think people just aren't sure yet, and I'm starting to like. I really thought Team Liquid would always be better, no matter what. But with how Cloud9 looks, it's kind of hard for me to still think that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to judge Cloud9 like fairly because they're 12-0 undefeated. So until they lose a game or they have like a super close game, no one can really find what their weaknesses are because it looks like that they don't have any like clear ones. It looks like because it just looks like that they just play the game perfectly and they like time everything like flashes and stuff like that. And when they're team fighting, like they all know what they're supposed to do and like the team fight individually. So it just seems like it seems on a whole other level compared to everyone in the LCS. Despite FlyQuest being number 2, like the game was not close.
I mean, but there was good moments from FlyQuest though. I don't think we should discredit them completely. I
mean,
think
yeah,
FlyQuest
but
is the team that brought them kind of like it's a meme, right? But they looked like they took them the furthest. Cloud9 in almost every other game ends pre 30 minutes, right? And
I
FlyQuest made
guess
them work like 5 more minutes.
I
Is
guess they
that
made them work
even
like overtime a little, but
is that even good though? Like if you made the enemy team have to play 5 more minutes of the game out, do you
I don't even
count
think
that?
that's like that's big.
You don't
Like
think that's big at all?
I don't think it's that big.
So you just
Like
think they
five
got
more
shit
minutes
on
is
less?
5 minutes. Yeah, pretty much. Like I said, they weren't playing to win. They were just playing to not lose.
Yeah. Uh, kind of rough. I mean, and that's why kind of my thought is that um maybe if FlyQuest had drafted well, here's the thing. If you draft full scaling versus Cloud9, you're probably going to get bopped even faster, right?
You're definitely gonna get bopped even faster. Yeah,
Yeah. That and I think
which is what
that's
happened to fucking Tig.
I think that's what LS mentions a lot is that if you play scaling and you play it perfectly, you'll win because you'll outscale, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think in this game would have been a good way to try it. If they had played more scaling and they had been able to kind of play the same kind of style, like not give up so many things, and obviously champion picks matter a lot for that. But say you get brought to 35 minutes by FlyQuest versus C9, and they outscale you. Well, then you would lose, right? If assuming equal play. I think that's the hard thing
Yeah.
about Cloud9 is that you can't even try to play late game.
Yeah. See, like my problem with that is that like, all right, so let's say like FlyQuest versus C9's team, which is Set, Gragas, Zoe, Ezreal, Tom Kent, right? Like they just pick like more like late game style like champions. Like let's say the Lee Sin was like Sejuani, and like they pick like a much more like late scaling support like Tarek or like Braum or some shit, right?
Yeah.
Like even then, like I think C9 covered themselves by also picking somewhat late game scaling champions as well, right? With like Ezreal, Zoe, Set.
Ezreal does fall off, and so does Set. But the Zoe is pretty gross come late game.
Yeah, I
I
guess
mean,
so.
poke falls off the later the game goes.
Yeah, but Ezreal's still gonna be like running around and like still doing a lot of damage.
Yeah,
though.
no, I totally get what you mean. Like they picked a comp that is still good early, but is also very strong in the mid game. I think against a full late game team, it's weaker. But obviously, FlyQuest didn't draft a full late game team, right? So it might not
Yeah.
even matter at that point. I just feel that honestly, FlyQuest looks like the third best team to me. And you're gonna say I'm kind of trolling, right? But I think Team Liquid is the second best team right now.
All right, bro.
Wait,
I
even
can't.
without the
I can't deny you from your opinion, but it
Oh,
seems
you
a
think my
little
opinion
troll.
is wrong?
Seems a little troll.
All right, so then let's go into the
There's
predictions.
no.
Let's go
There's
into
no.
the predictions.
There's
for
no
next week.
wrong opinion. You're putting words in my mouth, bro. There's no wrong opinion. I'm just saying I disagree with your opinion. That's it.
Okay, so
that doesn't make it wrong. That just makes it your opinion still. I just
okay,
don't agree with it.
so let's look to next week then. Cloud9 versus TSM. This is
man.
the rematch from week
Look,
4.
man, I don't know what the fuck Mr. Peter Zhang's fucking smoking, but if they don't troll the goddamn draft this time, they might pull out the win.
No.
They might.
It's impossible, dude.
They might. You know what? There's always a chance for everything, right?
No, I can't at this point. I was a Cloud9 doubter. I thought they wouldn't go 18-0. After watching them for the last 6 weeks, I can't deny.
Look, bro, just because I say that there's a chance doesn't mean I'm not saying Cloud9's going to win.
Oh, my God. You mean they're going to lose?
Cloud9's probably not going to lose.
Okay.
Like, if I had to, like, put, like...
money on it?
Well, not, like, money, but, like, a percentage. Like, it's definitely 90% Cloud9, 10% TSM.
Oh, my God. I've actually... You know what? I think 90-10 is a pretty good percentage. I think that's, like, a solid percentage. Not from how TSM played last week, though. I think
it's literally because Peter Zhang's smoking and he fucking drafted, like, these really weird and awful comps.
Yo, I think if you slap week 4 TSM... Not week 4. I think if you slap week 5 TSM to play against this Cloud9, maybe they win. But if you put week 6 TSM into this, they're going to get fucking bopped. They get bopped by Team Liquid. They're going to get smashed by Cloud9. I'm going Cloud9 in the first game. Yeah. Next, 100 Thieves Dig. Bro, you might as well flip a coin, man.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to go 100 Thieves. Dig.
If it's a good day for 100 Thieves.
Dude.
Yeah. It feels like Dig's been playing to not lose, honestly. I'm also going to go with 100 Thieves, yeah.
I mean,
it feels like 100 Thieves.
I was just going to say Meteos and some days Synergy has looked much improved recently. And Ryoma is not running it down anymore. He kind of looks okay-ish. I know I give him a lot of shit for his Azir game. But honestly, he didn't play particularly poorly. He was losing lane to Jensen, but it's Jensen, right? And you're in a bad match, you're in a skill matchup, Syndra versus Azir. I think Ryoma is improving, maybe not at the pace that they want, but I think it's enough to beat Dig, because Dig just doesn't seem to have any cohesion between jungle support and support mid. Really lacking, I think, there.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to give it to 100 Thieves. Mostly off of Meteos' improved jungle this past week. If he continues to improve like he looked this past week, I think they still have a shot at making playoffs. I know in our mid-season predictions we said 100 Thieves wouldn't make it. But it's actually looking kind of good for them because a lot of teams are just dropping games. No one is pushing past the pack aside from TL.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. Talk about TL. Their next game is versus CLG. Tactical's in. Do you think CLG have a shot?
Tactical is in. I mean, I think TL, like, their 4 core is, like, pretty strong. Like, without a doubt, like, individually, those players are really, really good. But I think now they're, like, getting, like, mid-jungle synergy down, you know, jungle support synergy down, stuff like that. So I think even with Tactical, they're probably still going to clutch out the win against CLG.
Yeah. I don't think Pobelter is enough to... Pobelter doesn't live in Jensen's head. I'll tell you that. So I think it's going to be tougher for Pob to win versus Jensen. I mean, that was a big reason why they won the TSM game, is that Pobelter actually beat Bjergsen in lane. And it makes it a lot easier when... I'm assuming Pobelter probably has a lot of the shot calling responsibilities on the team. When you win lane, it makes it a lot easier to shot call, right? So I don't think he's going to have the same luxury versus TL. Especially because Broxa Jensen synergy has looked crisp. And also Broxa Corjay Jason. Like, I think teams really get made out of mid-jungle, mid-support, and mid-jungle support synergy. You can see that with FlyQuest too. I think for TL, it's really coming together. And it'll look good. So we're both on TL on this one?
Yeah.
Fly versus EG?
FlyQuest versus Evil Geniuses. Well, last time EG took it, but EG is always coin flipping everything. So I have no idea in terms of like what EG is going to bring out. But I think FlyQuest are just more consistent. Yeah. I think FlyQuest are just more consistent. And like with teams figuring out like what's strong on this like new patch and stuff like that, I think if FlyQuest come in with like a solid plan, like they'll definitely take the win. So FlyQuest.
Yeah. And back to 100 Thieves versus Immortals. I've got to say, if 100 Thieves doesn't 2-0 this week, it is tough to make playoffs.
Definitely.
Because IMT is a game ahead of them.
And IMT has been shitting the bed lately.
Yeah. So, if you can't beat IMT...
It's doomed.
It does not look good. They lost to IMT last time. So if they lose to IMT this week, you can kiss playoffs goodbye. Like you don't have the head-to-head versus IMT, and they'll be 2 games ahead of you. I think it's a must-win. I think this next week is must-win for 100 Thieves.
Mm-hmm. I think if they don't win this one, it's going to be really troll and really hard for them to do anything significant for a spring split. So run it up, 100 Thieves. Let's get it.
Yeah, I still think they look better than IMT recently, though. So I've got to give it to them. FlyQuest TSM.
Oof.
Last time we saw TSM play the early game draft, and they couldn't close it out, even though they had a massive 10K gold lead.
I love Yumi, but
I love Yumi. Do you think that this time they'll try the same thing?
Probably not, just because they want to actually win this time. But TSM. Obviously, coming off of a 0-2 week, it's really hard to in good faith, be like, yeah, TSM's gonna win against FlyQuest. But I believe that if they don't int the drafts like they did in both games, I can't believe they did it in both games. You're really
on the draft. Do you actually hate their drafts?
Bro, I actually think that if they gave them different champions and different team comps in both of those games,
we can say that for every team.
No. For TSM, it's different. Because
okay.
Their players individually are super good. But when you give them champions fucking Senna support, Mordekaiser top.
What if Biofrost wanted to play Senna support?
Then he's trolling. You say no. You say fucking no. What are you doing?
Oh my god. Okay.
Why are we drafting Senna and then showing Ezreal the same rotation?
You're right. It's troll. You're honestly 100% right.
So I'm gonna say TSM because last time they actually almost did it, but it was because of early game and team comp that they just fell off against FlyQuest, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean Viper really. The thing is it's honestly their entire draft because in that game specifically, the first FlyQuest TSM game, fucking FlyQuest got Ornn on fucking red side. How?
Yeah, that is indeed troll as shit.
Oh my god, whatever. I mean,
Ornn Yumi, GG.
Gross. Okay, moving on. I think FlyQuest will win. Honestly, I think Power Vivo has just been playing so much better than Bjergsen in the split. Bjergsen looks like he's not even here right now.
I agree with you on that.
His good games. Are okay.
Yeah, they're just.
And then his bad games just look awful. I think in years past, I get season. You want to look at season 5 and you say, Bjergsen's definitely better than Poe back then. But you fast forward 5 years later and you lose lane to Poe. I think he's not as good as he used to be. And that's just the truth. I think people have either caught up, or he hasn't progressed, or he's gotten worse. Really sad to see, honestly, because I always looked up to Bjergsen as a mid laner myself. So rough to see, honestly. He's not been looking great this split. Maybe he turns it around.
Definitely unfortunate, but you know what? Every single time people doubt him, he has a Smurf performance.
He does have Smurf performances. You remember that Kali game in the
Yeah, bro. C9, they were like, what the fuck's going on? This champion's not balanced. And it's that champion is not balanced.
He has those moments. He used to have those moments all the time. He just doesn't
Yeah,
happen as often nowadays.
I think it's because in like season 4, solo kills mid lane would happen so often because like
Oh, people weren't good.
yeah, people weren't good, and then like the way games were played out were just like super fast and just like solo queue esque.
People made so many mistakes.
Yeah.
I think there's certain players who really capitalize on people's mistakes, and Bjergsen was one of them. And now
Mm-hmm.
that people don't make as many, he doesn't look as good.
Yeah,
Possibility.
because people just know to like not int.
Yeah. Moving on. Golden Guardians versus Dig.
Golden Guardians.
Same here. Are we just writing off Dig? Are we saying they're sliding to the bottom?
Possibly. It just seems like that they have like nothing going for them right now. In terms of like team cohesion or like players or anything.
Honestly, low key, I kind of hope like Dig end like 10th and CLG gets like 9th.
That is a possibility, but I think CLG is still gonna end up 10th.
I think their record might just be too bad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, their next game is EG, right?
Mm-hmm. Which they can win, honestly.
Which they can win. I think.
I'm actually gonna say that they are gonna win, honestly.
You think they're gonna win?
Yeah, bro. Because like EG's just a coin flippy team, and like CLG, like despite them being like at the bottom, I think that like even in their
They're
bad
better.
games with Pobe, like they aren't like inting it completely.
I think it's Pope who doesn't look like he's inting. I think
Yeah.
other players on the team are still looking kind of bad. But Ruin looked better in one game, and then he didn't look good in the next game. I mean, the CLG INT game was troll. They should have won. They should have closed the game out. But they just couldn't pull the trigger. Like, they couldn't do it. Frustrating to watch. Because it's like, there's only one person up. Go fucking end the game. And they won't do it. Really shitty loss to have. But CLG seems so coin flippy to me. Even with Pope. Like, it's better than before. Because before it was like they weren't even flipping a coin. It's like they were just losing. Now, at least they have a shot, right? Saying that, I actually think CLG will win. I think with another week of improvement, team cohesion, and that's the weird thing, is that CLG with only 2 weeks with Pobe already looks like they're being more cohesive than, say, like EG, who has had the entire split. And they're so coin flippy, they have no synergy, really baffling. I think we talked about it last week, how it's like really crazy how they have so many wins.
Yeah, I think if EG like cheese them, they could win.
Malzahar again?
Uh,
Pope's weakness, Malzahar.
Yeah, bro. Pope's weakness, Malzahar. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna say CLG because I think they're on the upswing, despite them, not having like a 2-0 week yet. I think that
Not this
they're
week,
still
but maybe next
improving.
week.
Yeah,
No,
CLG's
not next
definitely
week either. Like,
CLG's
not
definitely improving,
Yeah.
but they're not. Where they want to be, but
Of
they're
course.
definitely
Maybe
getting
for
better.
summer they'll get better.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
I think EG is definitely just like super troll.
Yeah. Let's look at Monday Night League. Monday Night League. Is it? Do you like Monday Night League? As an aside.
It's definitely interesting because EU has like Friday, Saturday, and then LCS has Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it's definitely a nice or like interesting to have it like all split across 3 days instead of just like 2 because they want to showcase the Academy games. But going into my prediction for the first game, IMT versus Team Liquid, IMT are definitely on the down swing, unfortunately, and I think TL are going to get another dub in the W column.
Big dubs. Same here. TL fanboy, so gotta go with TL. Not just because they're TL, also because they look a lot better. Even without double lift, even though it pains me to say it. I think INT's not gonna win a lot of games in the second half. Honestly.
Yeah, it's definitely looking really rough for them.
Yeah, I mean they've only beaten COG in the second half. So
yeah, and
rough.
I think the IMT we see now is like what people expected when the split started. So
well, I thought they would be 4th, but unfortunately, Ica is worse than I even expected. So unlucky there.
Yeah.
Golden Guardians versus Cloud9 is the last game. Any shot for Golden Guardians?
Cloud9? Hell no.
Hell no. Not with the way
Against
they're playing.
Cloud9?
No.
Fuck no.
Fuck
Like,
no.
if I
Big
had
wash.
to do another one, is it 90-10? Maybe. I'd say like 90.
99-1.
Yeah, maybe be like 95-5.
You think if
Maybe.
they played 100 times, they'd win 5 games? That honestly seems kind of true. Like,
Look, bro, out of those 5 games, they gotta like cheese them somehow.
There's 5 AFKs.
Yeah, true.
The AFK,
true.
each of them AFK one at a time in each game.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
definitely, Golden Guardians are like in the middle, and like Cloud9 is just on a whole other level.
Yeah, I'm hoping Golden Guardians is in the middle. Like they could still be bad if they lose to Dig, and that's the whole thing. Is like we're starting to see small gaps in the teams, right? Like you think Cloud9, big gap, FlyQuest, Liquid, gap, TSM, 100 Thieves, Golden Guardians, and then the rest of the teams. You're like, ugh, get in there. Well, whoever makes it, like it's rough to say. I think this split the LCS is very close for not very good reasons.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I mean, LEC, we don't know if it's good either.
Yeah. Just a lot of things going on.
A lot of ties in
LEC.
LEC too. Quick thing before we wrap up. LCK going on the hiatus after the first half of the round robin. Are you starting to get really worried for MSI?
Look, man, they said that they're gonna do LPL online, so that shit's gonna be really sus. And then, like the way the world is right now, that shit sucks. 2020 so far has not been a good year at all. So I have no idea how MSI is going to turn out at all, if that even is going to happen. Because if like half the teams can't even compete because
travel bans.
Yeah, travel.
Korea and
like
China are starting to get travel bans against them.
Yeah, so I really wonder if like Midbeast and fucking TF Late are like stuck in Korea. So
they said they don't care. I remember TF Blade said on like, oh, if I don't care, I don't go outside, and if I'm not allowed to leave, it's fine. I'll stay and play. It's not like he's paying a lot. He's in Impact's tower, right? It's like
yeah,
he'd be like, hey, Impact man, KV bro, like
no one's here anyways, so
yeah,
like,
let me stay. And honestly,
Impact just like, yeah, sure, I'm taking Steve's money anyway, so
just taking Steve's money anyway. So very last thing before we end. TF Blade is currently 640 LP Korean Challenger. So better than last time. He's not so hard stuck anymore, but he's only climbing like 50 LP per day. Do you think he hits rank 1?
Give him enough time, yeah. He's currently ranked 131, so, but he's on a 2-game loss streak, so that sucks. He's actually played a shit ton of games. What the fuck? This guy's nuts.
How many games does he have? Like
he has 244 wins and 154 losses.
Holy fuck, he has 400 games?
That's like a 61% win rate. Yeah, dude. This guy legit, when
grinding.
he went to Korea, he wakes up, plays League, goes to bed, wakes up, plays League. Like, that's all he does, which is like kind of crazy.
Do you think you could do that?
Me or?
Yeah, you personally. Do you think you could?
Me personally?
Like if you were like, I'm in Korea and I need to
if I
grind.
had his stream numbers, hell yeah. I'd be like, yo, bro, I'm making so much money every single time I fucking stream. Fuck yeah. Whatever. And like some streams he doesn't even have cam or mic. So he doesn't even have to worry about that shit.
He doesn't have camera mic at all.
He doesn't even have to worry about that shit. So it's even easier. All he has to do is just play the game and then the money comes to him. So
he has almost 200 games on Jax.
Yeah, that's like his go-to champion because that champion is like decent early late game, but not like dog shit. And then he's just a monster late if you just let him get there.
Does he have more games than you and me combined?
Possibly, yeah.
Holy fuck.
Because like that's all he does. That's all he does, man. He went to Korea to play League of Legends, and I don't blame him. So good shit on him for
if he hits rank 1
super seriously.
if he hits rank 1 Korea, that he should. I don't know if he really wants. I know he said he wants to go pro, but if you hit rank 1 Korea, like you've got the shit to go pro. Like you've got the fucking talent.
Obviously, he has the talent. It's a matter of if he wants to do it, because that means he would have to expand his champ pool. He would actually have to learn the game again in certain aspects, you know?
Yeah.
So, because legit, all he plays is Jax, Irelia, Tryndamere, which are like super good
Split
solo
push.
champs.
Yeah, so split push bruisers.
And his Ornn win rate is 44%, so that shit is not good.
Yikes.
So.
I mean, can you really carry on Ornn? Maybe on 10-4 when you do 10 billion damage. But
yeah, maybe. But I think if he does hit rank 1, I think he can. Like, honestly.
It'll be really impressive to me if he does.
Yeah. If he does, I think that he will definitely get a shit ton of clout. So.
Mega clout. Nobody can say shit to him if you hit rank 1 on the hardest server.
Yeah.
That'll be it for the podcast this week, guys. Any final words, Travis?
No, I'm good. Do you want me to close it, or do you
go ahead?
All right. Thank you guys for listening to the Open Mid Leaguecast. We are available on anchor.fm/Open Mid Leaguecast, along with Spotify, iTunes, and many more. Thank you guys for listening to us, and we will see you guys next week with another episode.